Video recording of this meeting should notify the chair at this time. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Sheila Vaughn?
Yes.
Here.
Here.
Michael Chicane?
Here.
Jeannie Coleman?
Yep.
Tricia Arietta? Here. And I am here. Would anyone like to make a motion to go adjourn into executive session? And then we will return to open meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn to executive session, Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining for contract negotiation, and a computer technician, elementary principal, and executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law. Approval of and to approve the executive session meetings minutes from April 7th, 2025, and to return to open meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Shouldn't be long.
This should not be long.
We need Liz to stay.
Hi, Liz.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you waiting for us. Okay.
Ask for that vote first.
Yes, would
Wait,
somebody,
we have to-
let's take a roll call vote as we re-enter into open session. Sheila Vaughn,
Yes.
Michael Chicane,
Here.
Jeannie Coleman,
Yes.
Tricia Arietta.
Here.
And I am here. Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the contracts as discussed in executive session?
I'll make a motion to accept the 2 contracts discussed in executive session, one for the computer technician and also the elementary principal.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay.
Congratulations. You got it.
Okay. Do we have any visitors? I feel obligated to say, okay. Approval of regular minutes from April 7th, 2025. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from April 2nd of 2025. April 7th, I'm sorry.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
I'll make every freaking motion today.
You will. You're doing your job, Mike.
Okay. All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Sheila Vaughn,
Yes.
Michael Chicane,
Yes.
Jeannie Coleman,
Yes.
Tricia Arietta,
Abstain.
and I am a yes. Okay, next up, MSBA roof project update.
So, we met with the MSBA. We met with the MSBA last week, and one of the things that we discussed was the fact that there is portions of the roof that may not have been 25 years old when we applied for the grant. And so, right now, our town and our facilities director are working with the MSBA to find all of the documentation to determine when exactly the roof was repaired at KES and which sections were repaired at which time. So only those sections that were 25 years old at the time of the application will be eligible for the grant.
Oh, my God. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. For all the patches we've done, we should have just left it.
Well, when was the building built? Was it
1970s. 70s.
What is it?
70s.
In the 70s, okay. It was KIS, it was built in 19.
Unfortunately,
2000.
Oh, 2000?
2000 or 2001.
So we will let you know as soon as we hear more from the MSBA, and we're working on that right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so angry. It's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
KES serving line surplus discussion and vote. There was a letter in there from Megan Aaronholz regarding those items. Does anybody want to make a motion for that?
I gotta name the items, right?
Yes, I'm looking for the letter.
I'll make a motion to approve the KES serving line surplus. Okay.
Mike,
Is that what I'm doing? Yes. I make a motion to approve the KES serving line surplus.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, super. Next up, Teacher's Corner. Mr. Curran.
Did you go to the planetary review?
I realized at 8:15 that day.
I did.
Hi, Joe Curran, Kingston Teachers Association.
Press the.
We good?
I think so.
You're
great.
gonna miss this.
Thumbs
All
up.
right, we're good there. We'd like to thank the Kingston Parent Teachers Organization. They're doing lots of extra special things for us this time of year. We had a nice lunch and came around with a cart with some treats and stuff today, so we appreciate the support. Let's see. Appreciate it as well. We had a great night at the museum. We had to wait. We got rained out a few times, but we got a beautiful, beautiful spring night, nice weather, clear skies. Got to see Jupiter and Mars, so that was good. Appreciate your support with that. Let's see. We did. The KTA does have recycling coming up on Saturday at the elementary school. If people have any electronics that they're not using anymore, those can be can help us with the fundraiser, and you can clear out some old stuff. So that's Saturday morning at the elementary school.
What time is that from?
I'm just, off the top of my head, I think it's 9.
And that's like any electronics, like
Yes.
old, like
Yes.
computers?
Any
TVs?
electronics, computers, cell phones.
TVs?
TVs,
There was
yes.
a flyer sent home
You have
to the
to-
kids.
Pay for that stuff at the dump.
Oh, you have to pay for this?
Yes.
But it goes to a good
Oh.
cause.
Oh. I
It goes
missed
to a good cause.
flyer. I will read my parents' grant
It's a green flyer.
for recycling.
Yes.
And we appreciate the support with solving the problem that's going on at the intermediate school with odor after a water leak. We were there Tuesday during vacation, and it was a very kind of cooperative problem-solving meeting of the minds with Mr. Lawless and myself. A person from the MTA who works in their environmental health and safety department was doing the testing, and Joyce from the Board of Health brought a good perspective, and Jamie Pomeroy, so we appreciate the the cooperative problem solving with that challenging problem. So we suggest that a health and safety meeting is going to be scheduled, and probably be a good setting to kind of review technical things and details and such with it. But we're optimistic with the with the progress that we're making. But I think that was it. Okay. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Colonel.
Okay, PTO report.
Not a formal report, but they just had boys' night out, they just had girls' night out. Teacher Appreciation Week is going on. What else am I missing?
The sixth grade celebration will be June 6th, and I've been told that the boys' night out had Joe and Druzy at it, and it was phenomenal. So thanks to all the parents that planned all of that,
Yeah,
both of those nights.
that's great.
It's great.
All right. Administration, Dr. Whipple.
Good evening, and thank you for approving my contract. I appreciate it, because I love working here. So I think I have my update first. So value of the month is fairness. So students are working on learning about what that looks like in their community, in their classrooms, and within the school community. I think last time we met, PAC Week had just started, but that was a huge success thanks to Mr. Joyce, Nurse Lunn, all of our families who really bought into it, making sure they had the right color of clothing and snacks, and then to our teachers for supporting that as well. We have a lot of upcoming events that's in the newsletter that gets updated as needed, so we did have to reschedule some field trips. We made those changes today as well. But although there's a lot of fun stuff going on, we still take learning really seriously, so in between all the fun, there's lots of learning going on, and teachers still utilizing data to improve student outcomes. I don't know if you've seen the outdoor classroom, but it's got a roof. The trestles, new vocabulary word I learned, are on top, and that's being done. But our seniors are almost done with school, so it'll just be the juniors who are finishing up. So it's been pretty cool to go out there each day and talk with them and watch them and collaborate. It's just, like, it's cool for the kids to be able to see that happen and see that they could potentially do that when they're in high school. So we're excited. Yeah.
I got a couple questions from parents as to what the plans are for can you remind the community what the plans are for that outdoor classroom?
Yeah, so we, it's kind of multi-stage, and because it's taken so long, the price has increased dramatically along the way. So once the trestles go up, we'll be getting a metal red roof to go with Kingston colors. Then we'll have a committee. I think we had said maybe one of you guys could be on it as well. We're just kind of delayed now. With creating ideas for the outdoor furniture and what that will look like, and hopefully have a high school program also build that. And then we have some other things we want to do. We want to connect it to the science standards. So it's not like a one-year thing. This is like we wanted to evolve over a couple of years to figure out how we can connect to more standards and utilizing outdoor classroom. And then kids, just like we have, in the multipurpose room, students, teachers sign up for, like they can sign up for this, like we do it on Google Calendar. So they'll get to utilize that as much as they want.
Awesome.
So,
Thank
yeah.
you.
So we've kind of like really big ideas, not all completely solidified, because we'll have a committee to go over them. So.
That's awesome.
Sorry, I forgot my notes and I had to use my phone and it just timed out. All right, here we go. So that was the updates. Were there any questions about updates?
Where are we at for kindergarten registration?
111.
Great.
I
Register
know,
your
but
kids.
like, where are they?
That's okay.
Yeah.
We'll register
Yeah.
them so that we know.
Well,
Yeah, and we have, like, I connected with a majority of the local preschools. I'm visiting 2 more tomorrow. I sent them all the kindergarten information. So I've done a ton more outreach than I have before and trying to build those relationships with the local preschools. So it's been, well, I'm having like a blast. I don't want to leave. It's like the best hour when I get to go there to visit them.
What year would these children be born? 2020, 2021? Are these pandemic babies coming to kindergarten next year?
2019 and 20,
September to August.
September babies, okay.
yeah. So I'm sure there'll be a few
What was
more.
going on?
It's crazy.
Next year.
Any other questions about updates? I know, it's fun.
29th, Sheila, 29th.
First grader and senior.
That's awesome.
Well, that's cool.
So then I think the next on the agenda is the data presentation. So if you want to put that up.
Well, suggest.
So this is what I get the most excited about. However, we don't have our spring data yet. So what you're going to see is you're going to see fall data, winter data, and then we're going to compare winter data from last winter so you can see the growth from 2023/24 to 24-25. But hopefully in the fall we can update the data from the spring just so you can see where we ended up, which I know will be at our goal. I know you guys have had access to this, so do you want me to just start going through it, or do you want me to wait for the visual?
Let's see.
Probably wait for it, because if anybody comes
Oh,
up to
yeah.
watch
Oh,
the
yeah,
recording.
sure. Okay. What's it called? I think it's, just scroll down a little more. So it's the one on the right, 9A, 1. Yeah.
I bought taco bits today. That's what we should have for supper. You know what? That's insane.
You can scroll and shoot down. All right, so for our student learning goal this year was to make sure all students are meeting or exceeding expectations at 80% or higher. Of course, we put the word MCAS in there because that's in general, but from when we look at it from a KS point of view, for right now, we're looking at DIBELS and STAR, but the goal is for once, our students go to third grade, so the goal is to see those MCAS results get there as well. If you want to scroll down. So just talking about kind of what we've done this year, and some of it is, we continue to do, but we worked closely with the Stern Center, reviewed classroom science and reading strategies. We did the needs assessment to look at what we need in order to close those gaps. We looked at making sure the standards are connected. MTSS, which we talked a lot about last year as well, we meet twice a week for a half hour every Tuesday, Thursday generally. We go over student needs. This is not just for kids that are popping up, but it's also for kids that we need to monitor. So if we have a student that's struggling, we'll meet again within a couple weeks to check the data, to make sure it's improving, to make sure make sure that they're getting what they need. And if not, maybe put additional interventions into place. I meet with the reading staff, the special ed staff, our Title I staff to make sure all students are improving, and if they need more services or less services, we want the least restrictive environment. So throughout this year, we had kids who didn't require reading support anymore, so they didn't need to be pulled out, but they're still monitored beyond that just to ensure that they're continuing that growth. We started last year or 2 years ago, co-teaching between the reading specialists. So we have Ms. Levitt, who works in first grade for 2 classrooms, and then Mr. Coughlin, who works in 2 classrooms. And we specifically place for those needs to make sure that students are receiving those additional supports. The goal is to provide the extra tier 1, 2, and 3 instructions so that we don't have bigger gaps being created and needed. And this way we have less need for special ed testing. I meet with the teachers 3 times a year during benchmark assessments, and then what I find to be really important is meeting one-on-one with them to go over their data, and we can talk specific students, making sure there's growth, how I can support them better. It's a really good opportunity for us to connect one-to-one. This year I really focused on my unannounced observations to get in the classrooms more, so every teacher needs at least 1, but we've done 2 to 3. And Dr. Clifford's been awesome with her background in elementary. It's been such a huge help I know for me as the elementary principal, because my background's actually middle school, high school, so she comes in, does observations with us, and it's been huge having that second set of eyes with that experience and expertise. We've had a lot of peer observations, so my teachers have set up on their own, or I've recommended some peer observations, so we're working on creating a protocol so that we can have a more focused observation moving forward. And Title I staff have pushed into kindergarten this year because the class sizes were large, but the data has been looking really good. It may not be exactly what you think on here, but now they're also pushing into 2nd grade for math. So we're excited about that. So this is just a snapshot of kind of like when I looked at the data, what are the strengths and kind of what are the concerns. So we have a lot of great strengths when it comes to all the grade levels. We got students moving out of red. We got 12 students in first grade that are now in the green and the blue, which is at or above. We had a really nice jump in STAR Math. For grade 2, we have 60% of kids at or above. Keep in mind, this is winter data. This is old. Honestly, it's old news. This is months ago now. There are some concerns that we saw, but no different than we have every other year, and we wind up getting to the end result each time anyway. So if we look at the kindergarten Dibbles data, they came in at 50%, the winter 55%. Of course, I want to see that higher, but I know by last year we got the end results. And then I think what's important, if you look at last winter to this winter, we're 5% increase from last year's practices to this year, so that's great. And last year we were at 74%. Our benchmarks have changed. That was in March, so we were actually higher than that in June. For Dibbles, we're at 76%. So again, our goal is 80%. So that was middle of the year. We were at 76%. So again, have no doubt that we're going to get pretty close to 100%, hopefully. But between last winter and this winter, we're at 15% increase, which is awesome. And I think that has a lot to do with our literacy instruction. We're teaching OG every single day in every single classroom. We're doing Hegarty. It's a huge multi-sensory approach to learning. Honestly, I am in there and I'm learning so much on how, we weren't taught this way. So it's pretty incredible to see these kids be able to do this and understand the why behind it. So STAR literacy, this is for the early literacy STAR test. So right now we're at 70%. Again, if you look at last winter versus this winter, we're up 5%. So I've no doubt we'll get there for the spring. This is the first year we did Math Star. We really advocated to do this just because we want to really look at that math data. So I was pretty impressed that we were already at 51% middle of the year. Again, this is a test that they're taking on the computer for the first time. Older kids take MCAS on the computer all the time. This is the first assessment first graders really do on the computer, which is challenging. It's very challenging, even just logging in. 2nd grade Dibbles, you'll see a little dip there. I'm not concerned at all about that because I know we had this similar situation last year. It wasn't much of a difference, but if you look at last winter to this winter, we're still ahead by 3%. 2nd grade reading, we're at 60%. Now you'll see here that there's negative 4% there, and I don't love those numbers there, but I look forward to in the fall showing you that we reached the goal because I know we will. But 60% isn't far off from the 70% district goal or 80% at KES though. 2nd grade STAR Math, we're at 54%. This has been an area of concern for us too with math, and I think we talked a lot about why we need to go through and get a new math curriculum. We've been doing a lot of observations during math, but I like to see that we're at least 1% different in a positive direction from last winter. Sabers, this is the assessment that we did this year. So this is just the second grade. So second grade fills this out on their own, and teachers do it as well. So what we did was my response team created a chart to see if there were any red flags, and then we checked in with teachers and students to make sure that needs are being met. So these results were pretty good and accurate. So what's next? So we're going to continue to do everything that we've been doing. I think one of the most important things I like to do is look at third grade MCAS results and the writing assessment so that second grade, first grade teachers know what the expectation is come third grade. We're going to do a lot of work around framing lessons, instructional planning, talking about what the objective is throughout the lesson, because I think that's really important for students to know what they're learning and why they're learning that. So that's going to be a focus for next year for us. We're going to fine-tune the writing common assessment as a district. We're going to be implementing the math PD throughout the year. We're actually aligning our staff meetings across the district so we can add that as PD time, which I'm excited about. We have one of my special ed teachers taking the OG Associates course, which is awesome. So we'll have another person who's OG certified fully. And like I said, I'm going to work on creating a peer observation protocol so that we know what the look for is going to be. What else? Yeah, I think that was it. So yeah, so I'm really proud of where we're at. I know that come the spring data, it's going to be even better. Our teachers have worked really hard. They're very focused on it. They've been progress monitoring the students all year. So hopefully in the fall I can share at least the end results so you can see what they were. So any questions for me about that? Yeah.
I just want to say that my child is one of those kids, and that she was in the reading, and then she got out. So there you
Graduated.
go.
Yeah.
And I really love the work in Gillingham. I can't say enough about it. I'm so happy to hear that you're going to have more certified instructors. It's just, I love that program. But great job.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Anything else? So I think, although Andy's is next on here, but my next item is school improvement plan. So do you want me to do that? And then? Yeah, that's fine. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Let me just pull this up. All right. So I had sent out my survey a couple months ago. And sorry, I only had 118 responses, so obviously that's not as much as I would like, but a couple themes popped up on that school improvement plan, which then, on the survey, which then helps me improve my school improvement plan and edit that. So some things that had popped up was communication, parent engagement, and behavior discipline, and arrival and dismissal. So topics that typically pop up. So it gave us the opportunity to figure out how to articulate that better in the school improvement plan, as well as communicating that with our staff in general. So for example, like one question came up was, well, what's the expectation of teachers communicating? So the expectation is that my teachers are communicating the curriculum and learning outcomes for students at least once a month, right? So that wasn't in the school improvement plan, so we added that. And then obviously our teachers are incredible. They communicate a ton and way more than that, and they're sharing photos, things like that. Parent engagement, families want to see more opportunities for volunteering. I think our building actually has a lot of opportunities, but if parents want more, like we're happy to do that. They want us to build on the multicultural night and have more school events. So I see that like as a positive way they want to continue to be engaged. For as far as behavior and discipline, buses came up a little bit. So Mr. G and I worked on creating just some more processes for us communicating with the bus drivers so that when things pop up, they know we've addressed it, they know what the expectation is, and we're all on the same page. So when we look at the school improvement plan, there are 3 goals. There's the safety and operations, community outreach, equity, and inclusion. So I'm just going to highlight, I think, the changes, if that makes sense. So again, the changes we put for safety and operations is more communication with the bus drivers to ensure that we're all on the same page and have clear expectations. For equity and inclusion, we added that ensure all students are learning to read and showing at least average growth with 80% of students being at or above. So that wasn't originally in there, but that falls under the equity and inclusion. I added the providing the PD. Like I said, we're going to really be focused on framing lessons, instructional planning, and setting the objectives within the classrooms. So that's on there. And then we articulated the MTSS meetings a little bit more in there, and that's what I mentioned earlier during the data presentation of how we're going to continue to make sure that we're monitoring student growth through the MTSS process. I don't know if there were questions about that.
just saw something that said spring 2024, and I just want to make sure that it was correct.
What page?
Trying to find where I just scrolled by it. I think it might have just needed to be corrected because the surveys were sent out in spring 2025. Let me find where I saw it.
Because it talks about like the meetings that were for 2024.
Yes, page 10.
Oh, I see, spring 2025, yeah, okay.
Yeah, just
Thank you.
Just a correction.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I don't know if it goes with this, but when we get emails to say that, this event's going to happen this day or whatever day, is there any way that calendar invites could be provided as part of those? So people could add it to their own personal calendars? Because I would have loved to go to the
Planetarium.
event, the planetarium last week, but I didn't see it until like earlier in the day when it was rescheduled. And I know that's
Yeah.
KIS, but just in general,
Yep.
within the two schools.
So they do go on the website. So like, for instance, curriculum night, it's probably already on the website for
Yeah.
September for KES. So that's where,
I'm saying, like,
it's a good question.
This
You're
might
asking-
be a
Google.
question for our computer technician.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
See
can
if
find
we
out.
can
It's a good question, because it'd be
automate
easy to
the-
just click it.
Right.
Exactly, because like,
'Cause you can
if
just
I
click
get a
add.
doctor's appointment, it says add to
Yeah.
your calendar, and it gives me the option of like
Yeah,
Outlook,
that, like, runs my
Google,
life. It's
whatever.
awesome,
I would
yeah.
love that because I
Yeah.
have,
Yeah,
like, the,
you gotta merge multiple.
I got it all
Yeah.
on my one calendar
Yep.
that my wife and I look at.
Yeah,
and-
I can find out about
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I know that we can, like, I put events on there for the website. I copy it like on my calendar, but then also to the website.
Mm-hmm. That's what I
Like,
do.
Yeah,
It's like the core, wasn't the chorus, the all district
yeah.
last week. Like, I think we got an email like 2 days before, and I was like, oh, I forgot, I need to rearrange some things, but if it's on my calendar, I know like a week ahead.
Yeah.
I always plan ahead, but.
Mike, are you suggesting something like, when we do in sports, we could just get like the
Sync
Google
it.
Exactly, you
calendar,
could
the
subscribe to a calendar
G
maybe?
calendar survive to
I'll
subscribe?
find
Yeah.
out.
The town does that. Well, actually, I subscribe to Silver Lake's calendar.
I
The
think
Silver
that you
Lake has
can
it.
do that. I
Yeah.
don't know if at the building level, but I'm pretty sure at Silver Lake you can.
Silver Lake,
Yeah. I haven't gotten to
subscribe
that
their
level.
calendar.
Silver Lake, my kids are still local.
I can find out for that.
See a smile on your face
bet
because
you
you're getting
can.
rid of one. Sorry.
She's slinging a boot. That's what I see. I know chicane's coming down.
We're speaking of events, we do have a new event tomorrow night from 6 to 7 for incoming third grade families and students at KIS.
that,
That we will be, yeah. That we'll host with KIS to have another additional like transition step.
So to Mike's point about the calendar thing, that may help also keep track of RSVPs or replies for something like that. If someone did hit reply yes or add to
Yeah.
calendar, because then you guys can plan for staff,
And reminders to like,
some of the community nights that you offer.
yeah, a reminder coming on my phone to show me that hey, I got something later today.
Get very-
I mean, I'm just,
Get very advanced, Mike.
this is, I'm leaving you with this.
We have a computer technician.
Yes, that's true.
Any other questions? I can find out for you. Were there any other questions about school improvement plan or the data? And then we had, we were looking at handbook and possible vote, but that was put on there today, so we're just looking at you guys just taking a look at it for right now, and then we can vote at a later date.
Can I ask a couple of questions now about that? Just find where it was. The dress code, that's something that it's currently saying, it's just got to be something that's school appropriate, and it's recommending the changes to, for instance, it says school appropriate length shorts. And one of the things I just caution with things like that is, it's all arbitrary.
Yeah.
And having a daughter who's 5'9", it's very difficult to find shorts
You can't
that-
find, I understand.
Right, and so things like that, like I understand that, she's now in an older grade where they don't necessarily discriminate against something like that, but I could buy the same pair of shorts for my 4'10" daughter as I do my 5'9" daughter, appropriate sizing, and they just look totally different, so.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. I have like 15 pages of all the changes, so I
Yep,
have to look
that's-
carefully.
that's
but I
what I was
will-
going through, the
But that's
new and
good.
the
So if you
old and
guys
stuff.
see things on there that you have questions about, I
Yeah.
can take a closer look if you want to send me an email.
I think it's just, I guess I'm curious, did we have an issue that we're working on? Like, for instance, the hats in the building, I know that that's become a new thing now, that boys are always wearing the baseball caps and stuff. Like, is that one of the reasons we're revisiting this from what it previously was?
We revisited the whole thing just because there's a
Yeah.
lot of updates. For instance, like the allergy procedures have changed dramatically. There's a lot of things that changed that we needed to revamp our policies. I know as far as hats, those tend to be accommodations that students have due to maybe anxiety or some other things going on.
I just, one of the things I just would like to see is kind of uniformity across the district. And like, I know that those are things that are acceptable in the secondary schools, so I understand about, obviously, the watch and technology and things like that, but I guess it's just a caution against, obviously, I agree with not allowing a child to wear something with the Budweiser shirts. I know that that was the thing when I was in school, was to not wear,
Yeah.
you know, the propaganda shirts or whatnot, but at the same time, I liked that it really left it in the hands of the parents. I thought that that was, I don't know.
I can revisit that, and then I can also look at what the middle school and high school handbooks looks like for some maybe consistency, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Thank you. So we'll take a look at
Later date, yeah. And then was there a flyer distribution on there too?
Is that,
With the what?
oh, no, that's you, right? That's with
It wasn't me? Okay.
Summer hoops, is that?
It didn't come to me, but,
Yes, Summer Hoops is in the packet. It's Silver Lake Summer Hoops. I just,
Oh, yeah,
I
starts
always
in
like
grade
to
one.
Yeah.
point out that it's not affiliated with Silver Lake Regional School District. It's not Silver Lake Regional School District sponsored, and it is for-profit.
But I think we've done this one for like 30-some.
Yeah, it's run by a former Silver Lake
Yeah.
High School teacher.
But I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it is at Silver Lake at one of the weeks.
Yep, and then Halifax, but it's open to the whole district. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve the Silver Lake Summer Hoops?
I make a motion to
Flyer.
approve the Silver Lake Summer Hoops flyer.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so
thank you very much.
thank you, Dr. Whipple. All right, Mr. Materna?
Good evening. Andy Materna, the principal at KIS. I'll start off with my principal report. And to continue what Mr. Karn was saying, I just want to give you guys an update on the the air testing. So the air testing, like Mr. Karn was saying, was conducted by MTA on Tuesday over vacation, and the results came back, normal air testing, so we're going to be working to move those classrooms back in, or the students back into those initial classrooms, and get things back the way they were before any of this happened. Right now, the cabinetry is pulled out, and we're having a date for some damaged cabinetry to be put back in, but we're going to be making some moves to getting the kids back in those classrooms. I do want to reiterate, too, that I told you guys last time that these students are in full-size classrooms and have been this full time. So they're not in like a hallway, they're not in the cafeteria or the auditorium or something like that. So just wanted to clarify that, too. The KIS schedule, we'll be making some adjustments. I'll be talking about this from the data, from my data presentation. We're going to be making some adjustments to the schedule and teaching times of some core classes. Really want to make a master schedule that's going to work for the building to support the students and the curriculum that we have, but also to address some issues that we've found along the way through some things that I'll talk about in the data, but like data meetings and that kind of stuff, some teacher feedback. Some dates that are coming up. We did have, on May 2nd, we had our Mental Health Awareness Assembly, and that was put on by, as part of the Yellow Tulip Project, by some seniors for their civics project through Silver Lake. They did an amazing job. Really impressive, these three students talking to 156 graders. They did a great job. I was really impressed by them. And it's nice, too, the 100 yellow tulips out in front of KIS. If you're ever driving by, take a look. May 6th, second to third grade transition night for second grade families only at KIS, but Dr. Whipple and I are going to be together, have a little presentation to welcome the incoming third grade families and students, give them some time to walk around and kind of see the third grade hallway, peek in the windows of classrooms, and just a little meet and greet, come up and meet me, and pass the torch from KES to KIS. So that's something we're looking forward to tomorrow. Girls' Night Out is May 8th. Our senior parade is coming on the 29th, while the seniors will come back down and walk through their respective elementary schools and intermediate school. And then on the 30th, we have Future Lakers Day for grade 6. So those are the dates. We are rolling heavy on MCAS, picking it back up with the math MCAS with 5th grade Thursday and Friday this week. And we'll be finishing that up in the next few weeks. And that's my update.
I just wanted to mention, 5th grade classes had the North and South Watershed program last week. I attended that. That was a really, really powerful presentation that the Watershed did. And they had mentioned that they hadn't been in the classroom for at least 5 years or something like that. So I thought it was really, I got a lot of good feedback from my son and his friends that they really enjoyed that presentation. So
yeah,
just
that's a
wanted to mention
wonderful
that.
hands-on presentation. A quick trip to the herring run to see the herring running up the ladders. Yeah, it was really cool. Thanks.
Yep.
The 5th grade does a great job setting that up. That's Lisa Rappeljay, thank you. They do a great job. Okay, I'll move into my data presentation. Student learning goal at KIS is aligned with the SDI, the Strategy for District Improvement, for students to reach 70%, and that's what we're continuing to work on. Now, through this data presentation, I'll present the ELA data, compare the winter from this year to winter last year, and then look at some steps that we're doing to continue to improve our data for the students. Actions toward our goal. We're doing a lot of work. There are a lot of things that have been happening through the district, but also locally at KIS. We continue to analyze our STAR data, and we determine strengths and areas for improvement and overall results. We continue to have administrative grade level meetings to review data and improvement strategies, and PLC meeting times once a month where we utilize to review data and adjust practices. Now, the information that is gathered during these meetings in small groups or larger groups, we have used, and I'll talk about some adjustments that we've made this year from feedback from the staff in those meetings. We've done some grade level professional development in September of '24 to align the curriculum to the DESE reading standards. This was a lot of work. The staff has done a lot of work to create to support the ELA curriculum to really meet the standards, where the Curate program found that our current programming is kind of missing on a few, it's not firing on all cylinders. So the staff has been aligning things to the curriculum. Our grade level professional development in November 24 continue to prepare the district for a writing benchmark, where all the ELA staff members were working on a district-wide writing benchmark. The district K-12 literacy leadership team was created to assist in literacy needs and identify the areas of strengths and areas of improvement. With Dr. Clifford, we worked with the Hill for Literacy on this work this year. The district literacy plan was created from this work, and the DLLT, the district leadership team, to focus in the areas of leadership, assessment, tiered instruction, professional learning, and family engagement. The district literacy program will be implemented starting in the fall of '25, which will include program review for ELA. And similarly to what Carrie was saying, we continue to improve our MTSS process to help target specific student intervention needs. We do meet twice a week. We talk about different students. We implement supports for students that are having difficulty, and continue to improve what we're doing to support our students. Moving into our KIS DIBELS. This compares 23 to 24 school year to 24-25. Similar to Carrie again, the spring is not completed yet. That Dibbles testing was just, has not been completed yet. So we hope to complete that spring data and inform the committee in the fall, next time we meet. The comparison of 23 to 24, you'll see that from the winter times, we are up 2%. So we're moving in a positive trajectory overall with comparing our winter data. Our star reading. For this school year, the fall and the winter, you'll see that we have a major increase in grade 3, but across all of our grade levels, we are increasing with students who are meeting and exceeding expectations in our star reading. And just a reminder, this is indicative of MCAS results. This is a measurement that we use to predict MCAS results. So we are getting closer, one step at a time, closer to our district improvement plan of 70% students meeting and exceeding expectations. Comparing our reading numbers from last winter to this winter, again, we are showing a positive direction in all grades but grade 6. Grade 6 was a little slide, but then the overall trajectory of the average is a plus 5% increase. Overall. And we'll break this down in our data meetings to figure out more like, why does that happen? Why does that happen? So what are the next steps for ELA? The next steps will continue with our MTSS process to provide targeted interventions for students. We'll continue grade level benchmark data meetings, continued review of classroom data to provide appropriate classroom differentiated interventions, continue work with teachers to implement best practices around framing lessons, sharing the objectives, having criteria for success. A lot of this work is done through staff meetings with the staff working together, but it's also done through the evaluation process and in the data collection and conversations that we have in small groups or one-to-one conversations that I'm having with staff members. OG training for special education staff through the Stern Center. We're looking at increasing our OG proficiency at KIS, similar to KES, again with the all the positive results that the OG training has yielded at KES. We're looking to improve things at KIS as well. And then the district literacy plan implementation next year, focused on the areas of leadership assessment, tiered instruction, professional learning, and family engagement. Moving into our math. Math comparison, grades 3 through 6, meeting expectations. You'll see this year that there was a dip in grades 3 and 4 from fall to winter. Now, I focused my meetings, my data meetings on the math specifically, and the feedback that I had from staff was that there's not enough time to teach the math. Last year I worked on creating a master schedule that would support KIS, and the data showing that master schedule, the staff was saying that they didn't have enough time to teach the math. So we made some adjustments mid-year to support that, and we're hoping that the additional time that was granted or that was given in the schedule to address math and these deficits will be shown in the spring results, when those spring results are done at the end of this month. So we've been static in math. We've been static in math for a number of years now, and we're focused on math. We'll talk about what's happening, kind of the next steps of math in the next couple slides. Math comparison from the grade levels, from winter to winter, from last year to this year. Again, the slides in grade 3 and 4. But in the conversations I had, we did make adjustments, positive adjustments to the schedule to allow for timing And we're hoping that's going to yield some positive results in the spring testing. The next steps for math, a few of these items are similar to the ELA next steps, but continuing with the MTSS process, continuing with the benchmark data meetings, teacher review of classroom data, providing appropriate classroom differentiated interventions. Major changes include a new math curriculum to support high-quality instruction. That's going to be starting next year. And then some ways that we're going to support the new curriculum. Summer of '25, some professional development to support the new math curriculum. Next year, throughout the whole year, some professional development to support the new math curriculum. An improved math schedule or an improved master schedule to support the new math needs of a new curriculum with some lower performing percentages. And then working with teachers to implement best practices around framing lessons, sharing objectives, having criteria for success, and planning for differentiation. Okay. The last slide here talks about our winter results for the Sabres. Carrie kind of talked about this and how we use this information, and the students here that are at high risk or some risk are students that our staff has been alerted to. These are students that may see adjustment counselors or may see school psych, or where we know who these students are. So with the spring results, we're hoping to see that these numbers of students in a high risk or some risk, that those numbers would decline.
Are you saying decline because they're getting extra assistance?
Because they're getting the support that they need so that they are at less of a
There's
risk.
less students.
Gotcha.
Less students would be at a higher risk or some risk because of the supports that they're receiving, yes.
Okay, thank you. Oops. That's it.
I just have a question that's not in your presentation, but kind of ties into all of this, and also connects with Dr. Panarisi, so I'm not sure who the better person is to ask. Dr. Panarisi had mentioned in a Silver Lake School Committee meeting that a therapeutic program would be helpful for grades 5 and 6 at KIS next year. The funding was not there to implement the program, but that said, are there any plans in place to address those students that I'm wondering maybe are identified within that testing?
So Dr. Panarisi and I have a meeting with our team chair on Wednesday to discuss this. What are the needs of the building? The needs, even just from last year to this year, the needs of the building have changed.
Right.
With the number of students that need these services or the number of students that need supports. So we review that at the end of every year. What does next year look like? And what are the needs of the students? And how do we support those students?
Right. I'm just wondering, I think it's already been identified. There definitely is a need, so I didn't know if there was anything kind of already in the works or being considered. I know that's not a quick fix. I'm just, you know what I mean? Where we're into May, and I know that that's,
I'll defer
And
to
more involved?
Dr. Panarisi.
yeah, thank you.
So we do have neurodiverse students. Do they all need a behavior classroom or an emotionally impairment classroom? No. So what do they need? And that's really what we're looking at. We have some diagnoses that are new for some of our students, and some of our students have really exceptional needs. And that's what the meeting is about now. So students that can go into inclusion and do a partial program for a sub-separate will go into a partial program and sub-separate. But there may be a need to have an appropriate peer group, mixed group of students that are just neurodiverse.
Yep.
That just don't learn like everybody else, and we need to make sure we have the modifications and accommodations for them.
And that's across grades 5 and 6, or all 4?
That would be across everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're seeing it across the banner.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Panarisi. Any other questions about my data presentation? Okay. So finally, we'll get into my school improvement plan that you have in your packets. and I will highlight the goals. The goals are supported by the survey. We did send out the survey with the school council, send out the survey. KIS had 28 responses to the school council survey. So I know that's not a very large number. I don't know if people are getting the information I'm sending them. Some of them, the biggest thing that we had back from the school survey was that we need to improve on communication. So I've been improving on communication with sending monthly newsletters, and information's in the newsletter. In working with Dr. Whipple, I'll be setting, one of the things that I've added in here to goal number 3 around the community involvement, engagement, and communication is setting an expectation for classroom teachers to be communicating home around curriculum on a monthly basis too. So that's one of the biggest changes is communication, and that's from the survey results that we got. Again, I don't know if the survey results are really indicative of what needs to happen, but based on the information that we have through that school council survey, that was the biggest add. There are some other things that we have adjusted here with the school council, adjusting our goals to update them around utilizing data collection from STAR and MCAS and grade level benchmarks, improving scores in the subgroups by holding the data meetings, and a lot of this aligns with the other goals that I mentioned in my data presentation. Another thing that we did add that I didn't add to this before it went into the packet, but is the transition meeting from grade 2 to grade 3, which we were talking about, the addition of the community events, such as the second grade meeting, and just kind of getting the community involved a little bit more. Ms. Arietta, you talked about the 5th grade parent night, the 5th grade, the watershed thing, and the information or the programs that we do have that do bring the community into the classroom. We do have these, and we're just trying to bolster those up as much as we can.
If I can just make a recommendation, I know that, first of all, I think it's fantastic that you guys are collaborating to do the 2nd through 3rd grade night out. I know how, big it is even to do the 8th through 9th and then the 6th and 7th. Huge bit of information, and it's really helpful for parents. I believe some of those principals might have recorded at least the presentation part so that it could be shared out with the parents that don't attend or perhaps aren't aware of what it is this year, just via Parent Square following it, so that if they're not there, they get the information. It is invaluable. It's very helpful, especially attending a new school. So, yep.
Yeah, like
Just that's what
make
it's
note of
been, because I know they do that after the athletic presentations as well. It's helpful for the parents that would like the information but are not able to attend. Thanks for doing that. I think that's great.
I'm really excited for it. Start meeting these families. Another thing that I have done just on the side with this transition piece, I've gone over to lunch, to the 2nd grade lunch, to kind of meet those kids, and hung out with Mr. G side by side. So they're, just that little bit of FaceTime with students. Little things like that. I plan to go over there a few more times just to be in the cafeteria or out at recess, and so they get to know who I am and, what my role is.
That's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's a big jump, so I think families really do
It's a big jump.
appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, awesome.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And the DARE.
Oh, yeah, the DARE. So this is
Like years and years ago.
this is a flyer that KPD asked if we could not put in backpacks, but have available in the office for a DARE camp. Let me just pull that up really quick.
In Whitman Hanson.
Yes, it's not in Kingston, but it is a part of the Kingston Police Department that's putting it on. And it is a summer camp.
And it's free.
And it's free.
8:30 to 2:30.
Excuse me while I pull this up.
Which one's telling me sounds cool? None. I'm like, well, you gotta be reading.
So is this important?
My only question, it doesn't mention grades.
On
It does
the permission slip, it
5 to 6.
says grades 5 and 6.
Yeah,
Oh,
so,
where's the
It's
permission?
a separate.
Oh, it's a separate hand,
Go to
okay.
the next one.
so there's an informational sheet, and then there's the sign-up sheet. The informational sheet is the one, it says the summer program of 2025 for the week of July 28th through August 1st for students entering grades 5 and 6 in the fall.
So it is like a lottery-based application program, or does that say? I'm sorry. I didn't see the application part. I've only seen the first one.
It says upon submission, your child will be enrolled. Due to tight
Wow.
constraints, you will not receive a letter of confirmation that your child is enrolled from the DA's office,
Okay.
is how it's worded.
So it sounds like it's available too.
Graduation ceremony.
That's excellent.
Yeah,
And lunch and a shirt
and it's free.
for snacks.
All right, does anybody want to make a motion to approve making the flyer and sign-up sheet available at KIS?
I'll make a motion that we make the DARE flyer and application available in the KIS office.
I will second that motion.
Thank
All
you.
in favor?
I should have let you make it.
Excellent, thank you.
Just a quick question about this. Should I send this out in a parent square to students that are going to be into 5th and 6th grade? Should I?
If that wasn't part of the request, I would say no.
No, just having it available? Okay.
That's what they asked for, I think that.
I can see it both ways, because if you send it, there might be an influx of applications, whereas. if
Right, they
it's-
say space is limited, so.
I
It
bet
makes-
the police department's going to put something out about it.
Right,
I
yeah,
would hope they do.
probably will promote it themselves.
It's really cool.
Very good. I'll have it available in the office.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, financial report. I see Sarah's not here this evening, but I'm guessing that you have that update for us?
Sarah is not here this evening, but she did leave me her notes to present for you. So, in your packet, 9CI financial report, you'll see on page 1, the special education line. Previously, Kingston only had one legal line for the district, and we are now separating out regular education and special education legal expenses to facilitate our end-of-year reporting, as they are two separate categories in the chart of accounts. Salary and substitute lines, payroll is in the process of projecting out salaries for the remainder of the year, and Sarah will update you at the next meeting as to the status of the salary lines. Contracted services on page 2, KIS, they moved the copy machine from the 4,000 line, which is physical plant, to the 2,000 line, instruction, which is where it should be. Page 2, the extended school year was budgeted in the special education tuition line, 9,000, and paid out of the new appropriate lines. Page 2 again, if you look at the KES tuition reimbursement is overspent but can be absorbed within the category. Page 3, various technology lines are overspent but are absorbed within the category. Bottom of page 3, top of page 4, the school adjustment counselors were moved from a special education line, 9,000s, to regular education. The school psychologists on page 4 were also budgeted in the special education 9,000 lines and were moved to an appropriate line. Page 4 is the new line for contracted service nursing for a one-to-one nurse. Page 5, at the bottom, contracted services, the KIS building. This is the necessary work that was performed on the sewer ejector pumps. This overage will be filled by utilizing payroll from unfilled staff positions at KIS. Page 7, special education contracted services at KES are overspent due to an outrageous price increase for OT-PT services that we were notified about over the summer. And overall, the summary of special education tuition, transportation, and contracted services show a current, as of this memo, May 3rd, it was 208. As of this evening, from our special education director, it is now, it was 208,000. Now it's $101,097.11 per our special education director. And there are no grants, donations, or awards at this time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's see. Dr. Clifford, I believe you have some updates for us.
Okay, I do have a few updates tonight. The first update is a memo you'll find in your packet, written by Brian DeSantis, the mathematics coordinator. Briefly, I'll go over the memo and kind of highlight the important pieces related to the math curriculum update, and then take any questions that you have. The first piece, as you know, I've been talking about it all year, both Dan Correa and Brian DeSantis worked together to create a math curriculum review committee, and that committee broke off into two different groups, a K through 6 group and a 7 through 12 group. And you can see in the memo the people who were part of the K through 6 group, and I want to do a shout out to both Dan and Brian for all of their work this year, and also to the folks in this committee who worked tirelessly all year to really embrace this big change. Our first curriculum review content area, which was math, we discussed early on in the fall, and then they took this and have done a fabulous job with this. So just to kind of give you an overview a little bit, as you know, at K through 6, both Envision is used for K through 5 and Big Ideas for grade 6. Envision's, our contract with them expires this spring, and Big Ideas does next year. Along with that, there are several other pieces as far as both of those curriculums being really aligned with the state standards and having a really robust and rigorous scope and sequence with all of the pieces that don't need to go along with that. So when we undertook the core review, we looked at two different programs, HMH and iReady. Both were considered highly rated on the Curate, DESI's Curate rating system. And the group that is listed on the front really spent time this year looking at both curriculums. We met with publishers from both companies. Teachers had materials. They used them in their classrooms. They talked with colleagues about them. Colleagues tried different things. And this committee met all spring. And a few weeks ago, the committee got together. Also, as part of rating the programs, the people on this committee were given basically a rubric and then rating sheets, which they filled out. So they quantitatively gave their thoughts on which program in different areas for each one of the programs they thought were the strongest. And then when we came together a few weeks ago, we looked at the data that they put into that survey, and we found that HMH was the one that was highly rated across the board by the teachers in each one of the categories. So that is a program we're going to go with. We're super excited about this. Myself, and also the middle school is also going with HMH. So we'll really have a K through 8, one program. Myself, Dan, and Brian have already met with the folks from HMH. We had a Zoom call with them the other day. And in particular from their professional development person. So right now we're working on getting the order ready for the materials, and we're also working with them. They're going to give us a professional development plan where we're going to meet in a week or so, and we've given them lots of information, and they're going to create that for us. And we'll have a timeline for teachers as far as when professional development will be done. We're working on that now, and a big thank you to the Kingston School Committee for supporting summer curriculum work, because the Kingston teachers will have the opportunity to spend time this summer reviewing the materials, figuring out how they're going to use the new materials in their instructional day. So that's huge. They need time to disseminate all of that information, so thank you for that. Also, we're hoping to get PD, optional PD, to teachers outside of the contractual day, but to offer them some PD from HMH before the end of the school year. They already have some curricular materials that they can use to review. We're hoping to get those to them as soon as we can. And next year, all the professional development days that we have basically will be spent around really making sure that this new program is implemented. Because I've said this before probably to this group, but choosing a program is important, but the implementation is as important, because that is really where we're going to see it happen in the classroom. And so both implementing the new curriculum and the instructional strategy, the modality that needs to happen, is really important. And that's one of the things that you heard Mr. Materna speak about, is the schedule. The schedule really needs to lend itself to having enough time for teachers to really implement what I would call a math workshop, which is more of a differentiated approach to making sure that students are presented with the lesson, but then everyone's needs are being addressed during a small group work that's dynamic in the classroom, and assessment in real time is used as a part of that. So that'll be a lot of our work next year. We'll be focused on math. When I go in, as Carrie mentioned, and we do observations, that's what we're going to be looking at, those kinds of things. So that's a big piece. Professional development will be a big piece, and I think I'm really excited about it. So that's math. I think I mentioned everything about that.
Can I actually ask you a question just
Yeah.
before you move on?
Yep.
So how long will this contract be for? Because you said the current one Envision is ending. We move into this. What will this?
Generally speaking, right now, I think it will be a 1 year, but that's something I need to talk with Sarah about as far as financially. If we sign up for more than 1 year, we usually get a reduction.
Yep.
But at the same time, we don't want to, make sure that we don't sign on for too many years, depending on what the financial situation is. So that's something I need to talk with her about as
Okay.
far as what that entails.
Okay.
Generally speaking, it probably will be for a few years.
Yep.
And you usually get some reduction in that.
Okay.
Generally speaking, the first year is obviously the most expensive, because that's your initial investment.
Mhm.
Yeah. Any other questions related to math?
I'm curious, just that, on that note, if we're paying, what is our investment into, programs like this for new books and new, subscriptions, and how we plan that out?
Yep, so that, fortunately, that's already been a piece that we've put in the budget for next year, which will be able to cover that. And every year in the fall, I will come with the numbers for that to make sure that we have that. But generally speaking, it's usually more the first year, and then after that, it's usually subscriptions that you are keeping up over
Right.
the next few
I'm
years.
getting
not
at that, there's a line item that was $250,000 for textbooks.
Yeah.
So this isn't a one-year program, right?
No, but that cost wouldn't be as high as that every year.
Right, so, we're looking at math, and that we have a one-year subscription, so we're not going to just scrap all of our textbooks for, right, that's not kind of how this works. I'm genuinely asking, because
Yes.
it sounds like 1 year will be more, and then the subsequent years will be less, so.
Correct.
We're looking at budgets from level services, and this is a big investment into it, so
Yes.
we want to keep it around for
Yes.
a few years.
Yes.
Cost savings.
Yes,
Yeah.
next
for
year.
sure, yes.
When we implemented Envisions, we did, I think it was a 3-year.
Yeah, generally that is the
Yep.
case. It's usually a 3-year. Yeah.
So the $103,000 cost, one-year subscription will reduce the following year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And no textbook, textbooks will do a different program, correct?
It's generally, usually you pay for the bigger items like that up front,
Mhm.
and then after that, it's usually if you need, in some grade levels, if you need, sometimes they have sheets that you buy from the
Mhm.
publisher. Those are obviously at a much lower cost, and sometimes you have yearly subscriptions for online pieces, but those will be a lot less. The big piece as far as the textbook kinds of things are in that first year, per se.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Can I just say I want to thank Kingston?
Yes, but would you go up to the microphone?
I just want to thank my colleagues, Andy Materna. I want to thank Andy Materna, Kerry Whipple, who was part of the core review team. Obviously, I want to thank Dr. Clifford for partnering up. And I also want to thank the teachers. I believe it was Amy Fitzgibbons from KES kindergarten teacher, Kristen Pishkin, grade 2 teacher, Janae Bartram, a special ed teacher from KES. We had Jen Cray, a 5th grade teacher from KIS, Mary Pat Dodge, grade 4 teacher, and Joylyn Mello, our interventionist. So Kingston was very much represented, especially at the elementary level and the intermediate level. So thank you. They were very much well represented, and it was a tough decision, but I think we went with HMH in part because the student usability was much better than the other program we reviewed. So thank you all.
Thank you. Yes, I did see the comment. Students found the lessons more engaging and easier to access. So that's definitely an important piece. Awesome. Are there any other questions about the math? Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. And the last piece, you'll also see in the packet information related to the literacy plan. I've also been speaking about this all year. And basically the piece here is that the district leadership team, the district literacy leadership team, worked very hard during the year. We had our needs assessment. That group got together, created the literacy plan, and you'll see the literacy plan in your packet. You'll also see the memo from me in your packet. But basically, the overall piece of this, it's a lot of information, I understand that. But basically, the overall piece is that it really covers 5 different areas: leadership assessment, tiered instruction, and professional learning and family engagement. And you'll probably see in the actual plan itself, towards the back, I think it begins roughly on page, let me see, I guess it's mostly the whole thing. It's basically page 5. You'll see the start of the action steps outline, the responsible people, the timeline, the resources, the outcome. That's for each one of those 5 areas, all the action steps, who's responsible, what the outcome is. It's pretty comprehensive. And the reason for that is because as we embark on something as large scale as looking at curriculums, looking at professional development, all of these things, it's very advantageous to have a strategy behind who, what, when, where, and how. And that's basically the gist of this literacy plan here. As we come into the fall, what will happen is similar to what's happened with math. We'll ask for people to join the group, curriculum review group. We'll look at different curriculum, and we'll go from there. So these are basically the pieces that outline all of those things and help guide us as we do that. I won't go into any more detail than that if you want me to, but if you have questions, you can ask. Go ahead and ask. But I'll be talking about these things more. This won't be the last time, so.
Does anybody have any questions at this time? No?
I do have a question,
Yeah,
actually.
sure.
I saw on the sheet, it says FY27 budget request.
I did see that too.
I'm just curious when you think you might have like a kind of an overview for what that number might look like.
Probably for K through 6, probably in the fall, this fall, I would know. I mean, I can give you, I'll have some ideas, but as we go through budget season next year, I've already been doing some, I've had experience doing this before, so I have some idea of what it will entail, per se.
Would you think more or less than math? I'll put you on the spot. You don't have to answer that.
I think probably something similar. Again, it will depend on what we decide, but keep in mind that English language arts is both reading and writing, so it's comprehensive across the board. We're looking for something that's inclusive of both what I would call a phonics program, a reading comprehension program, and a writing program, all of the above. So, I don't know, but yeah, but that's.
Okay, thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you. Dr. Prue.
So I want to just begin by thanking the town of Kingston and our school committee for supporting our school budgets. It is greatly appreciated, and thank you to the school committee for your advocacy and your work during a very long budget season. The second thing I want to mention is that I have submitted my evidence for my evaluation for each of the standards and for my goals. That's a Google form, so if you could please take a moment to complete that. The administrative review team will then schedule a meeting with me to meet with me once they have finished my evaluation.
Great, that was a quick one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Report of standing committees, admin review.
We don't have one scheduled right now.
There will be a meeting pending results, and it is very important to get those in for Dr. Prue. That is what we will be discussing and sharing with her. So, thank you.
Okay. Bylaw? No. Culinary Collaborative.
Yes, we met. We approved the FY '26 budget in tuition fees for next year.
Great.
Last meeting in October.
Awesome. Union 31.
There was a meeting in April, and...
On Thursday. Last Thursday. We approved.
I'm sorry,
That was good.
which was April, right?
Was it? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Last month.
It's only May 5th.
What did we...
I'm telling you, it's a Monday. Carry on.
We voted to approve, excuse me, the new Director of Student Services contract. I'm sorry. You just threw me off. I'm done.
Negotiations.
I'm going to write you in.
We gave an update during the executive session. Budget advisory, we have been advised. Facility oversight, we got an update on KIS there. Policy.
Excuse me, regarding the facility oversight, I know health and safety isn't on here, but Mr. Kern had mentioned a meeting. I believe you and I might still be the subcommittee chairs, but that would be something that you'd reach out to Megan to schedule.
We will get that, yes. Yes. Yeah, I will look into, I think it is, but I'll
I
check.
double-checked the reorg chart. I don't think
Yes.
that one changed.
I will look, but yeah, if you want to shoot me an email, we can get something set up for that. Policy and technology. I think that's supposed to be two separate things.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
No policy
Nothing
updates,
for
right?
policy, and that would be my last update. It's been an honor to be on policy, unless Jeannie goes through some
Writes
hoops
you in.
over the next couple of weeks, but no planned meetings, at least on policy.
Okay. Unfinished business. I don't think we have anything for that.
Not
And new business. Okay.
Unfinished, but I was going to bring it up with new business in regards to, we met tonight to discuss the scholarships, and once again,
Yes.
we are not able to award a Fonts scholarship because we do not have that money in an interest-bearing account. And so that is something that we need to prioritize. Our business director or someone else needs to be authorized to be able to move that money into an interest-bearing account, because in the past, we've been able to award approximately $1,500 to $3,000 to even more than that to multiple recipients. And even though we offer an application for that scholarship, we've been unable to award it now for about 5 years. So that is something that we need to prioritize, that it's moved so that we can simply collect the interest on it to award deserving seniors next year.
Yes, thank you. All right. Any other new business? Sheila?
I was going to say, thanks, Mike, for serving for so long.
Oh,
We appreciate
my
you
pleasure.
greatly.
Mike?
Microphone.
can
We
you
appreciate you
repeat-
greatly,
My
Mike.
pleasure.
Michael, in 3 years, it's gone by so fast.
It has.
I know.
I didn't have gray hair when I started. But,
You're welcome.
And don't forget, he served on
No.
two. He
all
served
of
on
that
several.
Mike,
being-
thank you.
Oh,
We
yeah.
appreciate your time and your efforts on this committee.
I've aged greatly. It was all worth it. No,
Okay.
It was a pleasure.
Approval of the bill schedule single signature warrants. I don't think we're on the off schedule from our meetings. Other matters unforeseen at time of posting, the scholarships that you just mentioned. Okay, do we have a motion? Before we adjourn, just dates to remember. No school on Monday, May 26th for Memorial Day. Graduation is Friday, May 30th. There's an early release for K to 6 at 12:30 on June 5th. And I think our last day is scheduled for Friday the 14th, right?
13.
Friday the 13th, oh, even better. All right, Friday the 13th. And then our,
So there's a half day the week before. And after.
Our next and last meeting will be July 7th. And that's a remote, yes. Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second that one.
All right, roll call vote. Sheila Vaughn. Yes. Michael Chicane.
Yes.
Jeannie Coleman. Yes. Tricia Arietta.
Yes.
And I am a yes. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate all of your time.